Peace fam, this is Brother Harold from harktheherald.com, back with another reaction video. Remember to please like, subscribe, and also share. And once again, we're going to get right into it.
In the midst of the whirlwind of chaos that has long been Donald Trump's governing style, you can be forgiven for occasionally missing some really important news. Trump's administration just delivered an extraordinary gift to some of the most powerful corporate lawbreakers in America.
Hi everyone, my name is Alvaro Bedoya and I'm one of two commissioners at the Federal Trade Commission who the president is trying to illegally fire.
Breaking news on the FTC. Megan Cassell's got the details. Megan.
President Donald Trump has fired both Democratic commissioners on the FTC. That means that just two Republican commissioners are operating on the FTC at this point.
By attempting to sack Alvaro Bedoya, a key ally of former FTC chairwoman Lina Khan and Rebecca Slaughter, Trump has ensured that every member of the Federal Trade Commission now reports to him.
It will bring the independent regulatory agencies such as the FCC and the FTC back under presidential authority.
There's been a lot of talk from experts about how this move is illegal, and that's true. But there's also a much bigger issue at play here than the jobs of just two individuals. Here's what's critical to understand. Donald Trump is trying to kneecap one of the few agencies in Washington that is aggressively prosecuting corporations which have rigged the economy against working class Americans. To understand what's going on, let's revisit Donald Trump's inauguration day.
Nobody's ever seen a dais like that. The inauguration. Zuckerberg, this one, that one, Microsoft, everybody.
Many of these same billionaires who were at Donald Trump's inauguration and contributed millions of dollars to him are under investigation by the Federal Trade Commission.
I am currently suing Amazon in not one, but two lawsuits. I am enforcing a 20-year privacy consent decree against X. I am sitting as a judge in a matter where FTC staff is trying to strengthen the privacy rules that apply to Meta.
In all of these cases, the FTC is taking on powerful corporate monopolies which have raised prices on working people, illegally crushed competitors, and violated the privacy of their customers. But it's not just major tech companies that stand to benefit from the illegal firings of Bedoya and Slaughter. Under Biden, the FTC had cracked down on oil executives who were colluding to raise gas prices. In response, Donald Trump told oil executives that if they raised $1 billion for his campaign, he would, quote, ease the Federal Trade Commission's scrutiny of their industry. Guess what? That's happening. Bedoya was also pursuing large retailers like Walmart, who have spent decades crushing small businesses in the communities they serve. And he's been going after the monopolists who control the soda and alcohol retail industries. Recently, I sat down with Commissioner Bedoya to discuss his work at the FTC fighting to save small independent grocery stores. He was fighting to lower prices by taking on the power of the dominant food companies and grocery chains. This is just one piece of the consumer protection work that will be lost if Donald Trump is successful in taking control over the agency. Make no mistake, this is the story of exactly why Bedoya was fired. Commissioner Bedoya, thank you for sitting down with us.
Thank you for having me.
So you came into this job here at the FTC. Remind us, when did you start here?
May 2022.
From the moment you began in May 2022, you had a few key priorities in mind. One of those priorities that seemed to stick out to me and many who watched the Federal Trade Commission is the Robinson-Patman Act. What is the Robinson-Patman Act?
Simply put, it is a law that provides a level playing field for small retailers, small grocers against their billionaire competitors. It used to be the most enforced antitrust law at the Federal Trade Commission. And as a result of that enforcement, independent retailers thrived in this country. Then around the 1980s, late 1970s, the Reaganites came in and they wanted unfettered capitalism. They tarred and feathered the law as some protectionist throwback for inefficient small retailers against the cost-cutting efficiencies of the big box stores or the large retailers. And they persuaded upon law enforcement to stop enforcing the law. And what we've seen since then is just a collapse of independent retail in this country. This is not a law about curbing efficiency. It's a law about curbing bullying by powerful market actors that are pressuring their suppliers into giving them deals that no one else can get.
Prior to Trump's inauguration, the FTC last December filed the first lawsuit under the Robinson-Patman Act in decades. A month later, they filed a second lawsuit against Pepsi for engaging in illegal price discrimination. For you personally, why is the Robinson-Patman Act something that you care so deeply about?
If you ask anyone, what's the store that matters most to you in town? One thing I've noticed is that it's almost always not a chain. It is almost always an independent. If you live in the city, maybe it's the bodega that holds your keys, where everyone knows your name. It's staffed well at all hours. If you live in the country, maybe it's your community pharmacist who has known your family for decades, who delivers your prescriptions to your door and has done so for a long time. What I have noticed, and I think so many other people have noticed, is that these independent retailers are failing. And so when I started learning about Robinson-Patman and talking to these retailers, they pointed to the law as the non-enforcement of the law as the reason why they were facing this trouble.
Give people a glimpse into how a powerful actor operates. Give us some of those tricks of the trade. If you're running a monopoly right now, you're a big Amazon, Walmart, how are you making this economy rigged for you against small business competitors?
For me, the aha moment was visiting a fourth generation grocer in South Dakota named R.F. Bowie. He serves Indian country. He is in Pine Ridge, South Dakota. We went up to the manager's office and Mr. Bowie took out a list and he pushed it towards us. And on it were a bunch of staples, eggs, cereal, milk. And next to it was the acquisition price to his wholesaler and the sale price at the nearest big box store 50 miles away. His customers, even though they're some of the poorest people in the country, were paying 30 to 50% more than the people served by the nearest big box store. He said, even when my wholesaler bundles my orders with independents around the country to approach the order sizes of the big boxes, we cannot get those prices. And so my folks have a choice. They can either pay too much for their groceries and run out of money halfway through the month, or they can pay a whole bunch of other money to get someone to drive them 100 miles round trip to the nearest grocer, to the nearest big box. And I think this is just not fair. This is fundamentally unfair to rural America. The same thing is happening to urban America.
Let's think about them in the independent grocers world.
Yeah.
People trying to make it right now. If I wanted to start an independent grocer in any town in America, what challenges am I dealing with?
You're dealing with the fact that when it comes to grocery, when it comes to retail, too often the best man doesn't win. The richest man wins. The one with the biggest war chest wins. The one with the biggest market size wins. Because these grocers are using this power that they have in the market to demand discounts that other people can't get that aren't justified by the efficiencies or economies of scale of bulk purchasing. I think that's what you're running up against.
Largely where you may have had an independent grocer being able to operate, correct me if I'm wrong, it's now a Safeway, it's a Kroger, it's an Albertsons, it's some other large chain. Fair?
Yes. Let me give you a couple quick statistics. So around 1980, most grocers in this country were independent. Now, the vast majority are chains. Between the end of Robinson-Patman enforcement in 1981 and 20 years, 30 years later, we lost 100,000 small retailers and independent grocers. The word food desert did not exist. Now it's a synonym for rural and urban America. And if you look at the graphs, you plot it out, it is undeniable that the end of enforcement of Robinson-Patman has hollowed out urban and rural America.
What has been your experience of why people are being charged higher prices in a time when arguably the market is the most efficient it has been? You have big box store retailers, big chains governing most market share in America.
I know from depositions FTC has taken, from trial transcripts from our litigations, that executives look at inflation and yes, sometimes they have to raise the price of their products because of inflation from their suppliers, but other times they say this is an opportunity for us to be a price leader and to increase the price of our products. I think we have too little competition. I think you have too concentrated a market. And I think you have a culture in which the grocers that serve their community are too often disconnected from that community.
Donald Trump's firing of Alvaro Bedoya is part of a pattern. When Trump's major donors raised concerns about government officials attempting to hold them accountable,
we had organizations that were looking into us that were like not really involved with social media, like the CFPB, like this financial. I don't even know what it stands for. It's the financial organization that Elizabeth Warren had set up.
Trump shuts them down.
We virtually shut down the out-of-control CFPB, escorting radical left bureaucrats out of the building and locking the doors behind them.
But partisan politics has little to do with the corruption unfolding in the Trump administration. Trump is now waging a war on behalf of lawbreakers in corporate America.
This isn't about Democrat or Republican. It's about who has power and who doesn't, and who wants the law enforced and who wants it ignored by prosecutors.
Wow. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment. And once again, please like, subscribe, and also share. Peace.